Upstate Medical University in Syracuse, New York invites you to be the informed patient with the podcast that features experts from Central New York's only academic medical center. I'm your host, Amber Smith. The American Academy of Pediatrics has updated its policy statement about the importance of unstructured time at school. Here with me to talk about what that means is Dr. Priyanka Kaul. She's an assistant professor of pediatrics at Upstate. Welcome to the Informed Patient, Dr. Kaul.
Thank you so much, Amber. It's a pleasure to be here.
We may see a playground full of kids playing at recess, but what is really going on during that time?
When adults look at recess, they often just see a break from learning. But when pediatricians look at it, we see it another way. We see kids that are not just being active, physically active, of course, but also we see other forms of learning. We see them making friendships, socializing, their conflict resolution happening. They're taking risks. They're also giving their brain an opportunity to take a break.
So it might be fun for the kids, but there's also some benefit developmentally, it sounds like.
Yeah, there is. And we see three big themes in the process. One is, yes, the physical effects. You're getting great, vigorous activity. But even if you're not being physically active, in addition to the physical activity, the development of peer relationships, the ability to negotiate conflicts, you're developing independence, you're making choices. Those are really, really important social skills. And then the last piece of it is the neurophysiologic aspect to it. Learning for long durations of time can't be sustained. Nobody can really sustain attention and learning for 8 hours of a day. And so adding in breaks in between actually enhances the ability to focus, concentrate, and retain information.
The statement from the leading pediatrician group emphasizes the crucial role of recess in child and adolescent development. Can you talk about some of the research that's cited?
That's right. They cite some of the neurophysiologic research that shows support for proof that there is benefit in learning from breaks in learning. So, specifically, cognitive science research that attention is a limited resource, and research actually provides what researchers sometimes call a cognitive reset. And when students step away from sustained academic work, their brain has an opportunity to recover, process the information, and then when they return to learning, they do that with greater focus and efficiency. And there is years of research that backs this up, and they have done a nice job summarizing it and basically reinforced what they said in 2013 and re-emphasize that this still holds true and research still stays just as important for kids' development.
How does recess impact adolescent health, their physical health?
Adolescents don't like calling it recess. They call it breaks or wellness breaks, and it truly can be an opportunity for them to be active, but you may or may not see them playing vigorously. They may just be walking around. So there's the physical aspect of it, which, as we know, all children should be receiving. The recommendation is 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical exercise daily. And whether you break it up into 10 minutes, 20 minutes, as long as it adds up to 60 minutes, that's the idea. And this recess time adds to the other parts of the day that might give you that physical activity. But it is definitely more than the physical activity. And for a lot of adolescents, it may not even be physically active. It may just be they're sitting together and chatting. And there is a lot of benefit to that as well.
Is there any evidence that recess leads to better grades in school?
As a matter of fact, there is. There's a 2015 study published in the Journal of School Health that looked at the critical connection between school health recess and academic outcomes. And it actually showed not just better grades and test scores, but better classroom behavior, school attendance, improved memory and attention and concentration. So really a lot of benefit in academic outcomes.
The American Academy of Pediatrics policy statement also recommends not withholding recess for academic or punitive reasons. Why is that?
This is a reaffirmation of their 2013 direction that truly recess time should not be taken away for any kind of punitive or if they haven't finished their work, because it is detrimental. And for all the reasons we just discussed, recess time is independent, child directed play and has immense benefits: physical activity, social connection, stress reduction, mental health, and well being. And we're not saying that recess alone is going to solve all of these problems, but recess addresses several of the concerns that are happening right now in society: lack of social skills, this sort of feeling that everything is related to technology and technology oriented, the need for children to constantly feel like they're getting entertained. And recess provides an immense benefit for giving them that unstructured time and developing that agency, the ability to make choices. Lots of benefit there. And we definitely support, as should parents, support the schools not taking away this recess time.
This is Upstate's The Informed Patient podcast. I'm your host, Amber Smith. I'm talking with Upstate pediatrician Priyanka Kaul about the importance of recess. Do I understand correctly that this policy statement was precipitated at least somewhat by a 40% increase nationally of school districts reducing or eliminating recess since the mid-2000s?
Unfortunately, this is a true fact. There is no law that governs this. At least it varies from state to state. And New York State currently does not have any law that makes it imperative or regulates the protection of recess in schools. So really, it is dependent from school to school. The Center for Disease Control has been very clear and emphatic in supporting recess time, highlighting the benefits of it. And they have a lot of resources on their website with what kind of settings, what kind of policies should a school develop. There's a lot of resources even for parents that want to be advocates and want to help out their school districts. There's a lot of resources on the CDC website as well. But you're absolutely right. If the school districts wish to, they can eliminate recess at this point. There is no legal protection of recess in most states.
So what is the reason for reducing it or eliminating it?
There's a few things at play here. One might just be resources. Not every school has the kind of resources that can support the location, the supplies, the presence of manpower to ensure safety, to manage scheduling pressures. I mean, this is time that some people argue is taken away from academic time. And there are others that might say, hey, you're already getting physical activity in your phys ed class. Why do you need recess? And so there are so many reasons why some school districts choose not to. But the good news is, at least for elementary school, 90% of elementary schools in the US do protect recess time. So that is very heartening to me as a pediatrician. But the sad part is that some sixth grade, that number drops from 90% to close to 35%. It's a huge drop. So this is really sad because the benefits, and this is part of the policy statement in the AAP highlights, is that the benefits of recess don't stop right in fifth grade or right in elementary school. They do continue through your middle school years, through your adolescent years.
How long is the typical recess at grade schools?
20 minutes would be what our local area, 20 to 30 minutes is all they get in most schools.
The other factor that the American Academy of Pediatrics considered was a recent study showing a deterioration of the health of U.S. children over the past 17 years. What can you tell us about that study?
This study was published in the JAMA journal and was based on health statistics from the US and comparing it to 18 countries with comparable socioeconomic strata that were part of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or the OSED 18. OSED 18 is a set of 18 high-income countries that compare socioeconomically with the United States. And they looked at health statistics of children from 3 to 17 years of age. And they found that there was a significant increase from 2007 to 2023 in chronic conditions, 15 to 20% increase in the rates of prevalence of chronic conditions in children, which is very concerning. Obesity rose from 17 to 21%. There was also a very concerning, alarming increase in firearm deaths and motor vehicle accident as well. Lots and lots of statistics in this one study, but those are the big themes that correlate directly with our topic at hand. And again, no one's saying that recess is going to fix everything, but it is one part of, and a very important part of our children's lives. It's predictable. It's every weekday that they're in school, and it impacts directly, not just, as we said, not just their physical well-being, but their emotional well-being and their cognitive functioning or their mental functioning.
So, getting back to recess, you mentioned how some schools might be using physical education class to replace recess. But I'm also wondering about the lunch period, which gives kids a little bit of a break, or maybe study halls or quiet reading time. Do those types of breaks from the academic instruction do the same thing that recess does?
Unfortunately, no. PE is adult directed instruction. It is a lesson. There are goals, there are instructions to be followed. Very different from recess. Recess is child directed play. They decide. So phys ed teaches movement skills. There's a curriculum. They follow it. There's goals to be met. They get grades for it. Recess allows kids to choose how they use their skills. And then, as we said, a lot more. So it's teaching them choices, autonomy, very different from a phys ed class. And then lunch, I mean, I'm a huge supporter of lunch breaks and definitely don't advocate for taking those away, but it serves a different purpose. Kids are focused on eating, on transitions, and then there's social logistics. So definitely not something that can be interchanged for recess.
And you mentioned how there's a huge drop at sixth grade and up for schools that offer recess. What is the benefit for middle school or even high school students? Would they benefit from recess?
Middle school and high school kids and adolescents, they all still need breaks. They might not be playing tag and kickball at that point during their recess break. They might be walking, talking with friends, more informal social connection and mental reset. The need for those does not disappear at the end of your elementary school. So, absolutely, we definitely need to advocate more for our middle and high school students to receive this.
Well, going further, what about college, medical school, the adult world in working jobs? Would we all benefit from recess?
I could just see my medical students listening and clapping. And yes, I mean, we all could. And hopefully, many adults intuitively know that they do need a break. Most of us will recognize in an hour at most or two, we get up, we take a walk, we talk to a colleague, we step outside. We all need recovery from sustained mental effort. And the need for that break does not end at any particular age.
Well, before we wrap up, let me ask you how kids can get the most out of recess. Do they need to be physical?
The big themes, and the AP says this too, that choice matters. Let the kids decide. The whole concept of recess is this is time when the kids choose. They can run and play sports, they can talk to their friends, they can go build something, they can explore nature, they can read quietly, they can just do a solitary play. All of them, none of them is better than the other. And it's not just the activity itself, it's the autonomy and the choices we're making that is part of the benefit of recess.
Are electronics allowed during recess?
Well, in general, recess should prioritize opportunities for kids to have less access to these kind of screens and more to physical activities, social interaction, all of the creative play, connection with their peers. And screens are really, really hard to compete with. As we all know, once the screens come on, everything else sort of dulls down a little bit. So absolutely. Even though I'm a big advocate for choice, I do think the opportunities need to be more enhanced for all the other choices, and screen restriction should continue, and at least have somewhat restricted access.
Well, I think a lot of schools are moving toward not allowing the students to have access to phones during the entire school day. So maybe that doesn't come up as much.
This has been a huge game changer in the last couple of years. And yes, it's not a thing anymore. It's not up for discussion. It's the law, New York State law.
Well, Dr. Kaul, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us about recess. I appreciate it.
This was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Amber.
My guest has been Dr. Priyanka Kaul, a pediatrician at the Upstate Pediatric and Adolescent Center. The Informed Patient is a podcast covering health, science, and medicine, brought to you by Upstate Medical University in Syracuse, New York, and produced by Jim Howe, with sound engineering by Bill Brokel and graphic design by Dan Cameron. Find our archive of previous episodes at upstate.edu/informed. If you enjoyed this episode, please invite a friend to listen. You can also rate and review the Informed Patient podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you tune in. This is your host, Amber Smith, thanking you for listening.